Hey friends, welcome to Above the Fold podcast. I'm your host, Jess Servion. We're going to be talking about everything in your customer's journey. You're going to learn things about customer experience, brand experience, and marketing secrets that help you drive your brand success. So stay tuned, buckle up, and let's get into the episode.
Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Jess Servion. This week, I'm super excited to bring on my friend and founder of League of Originals, Karolina. I am not going to pronounce her last name. She's going to do that for us. Karolina, why don't you pronounce your last name first? And then tell the audience what League of Originals is.
So it's Karolina Swietoniowska. Say that fast 10 times.
Swietoniowska.
No,
Yeah.
but
Shit. Okay.
so close. We'll work on it.
Yeah.
I'm the founder and CEO of League of Originals. We are a community for the most influential brands. We produce a ton of content, events, retreats, and experiences at the core of what we do. But really, it's to support the next generation of brands and help them grow.
Yeah, and I love it. I'm such a huge fan of League of Originals. I actually was introduced to Karolina because I spoke at an event only like in December, right?
Yeah.
In December about SMS marketing. That'll be a subject for another episode. But such a great conference. Put on very well. Like every single detail is just really on point. And I think that's really important to talk about like in this subject, to like not even just from like a conference perspective or summits or retreats or these events is the whole reason I wanted Karolina to come on is because I wanted to talk about experiential marketing. It's a subject that we don't really talk about that often, but I think it's very core to when we're talking about brand experience. So whether you're talking about it from like a B2B perspective or even a D2C perspective, those in real life experiences are just so amazing and core to building a brand and kind of like bringing those things to the forefront, right?
Totally.
I mean, it's completely different than digital marketing in the sense because it's like you get to feel everything about like a brand or that company that you're working with. So I'd love to actually dive a little bit into your background about how you got into experiential marketing first.
Let's do it. Okay. So I'm originally from Toronto, did not study this at all. I actually went to school for fashion design.
Girl.
Did you too?
I didn't go to school for fashion design, but I went to school for fashion marketing.
So
Not
to
fashionable.
expand, you're so fashionable, that little scarf. So I went to school for fashion design, dropped out after a year, and then went to fashion marketing a few years later because I thought it would be more applicable, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I learned a lot. a lot. But when I moved to LA 10 years ago, I ended up working for a brand called MeUndies.
Okay,
Do you know MeUndies? Yeah. And so they were still super early stage startup, fully D2C, e-commerce only.
Yeah.
But the founder was really interested in doing a pop-up shop. And that was like really new back then. Like no one was really doing pop-ups, or like sparingly. And he approached me and asked if I would want to run point on that because I was kind of the only one with somewhat relevant experience, even though I really had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, fuck yeah. And I was super excited to do it. And so I ran point on that, found the space, designed it. That whole like process of taking a brand that was digitally native and had a vibe, like, and still does, but like taking that and turning it into a physical experience. Like, what does the space look like? How are the employees dressed? What products are displayed and how? Like, how do we tie it into what's happening online? And so that it's a seamless like brand experience. That process was like amazing for me and I loved it. And that was the time that I decided like I'm doing experiential moving forward. It's absolutely crazy. Like events are insane. There's so much stress because like there's one point.
Yeah.
You know,
it's one point, you get one shot, you get those 8 hours and that's it. And
That's
like
it,
people will show up to a conference or a summit or an event because I do a lot of like event marketing just for like my personal brand, my agency, the podcast, like all these things. And like people just show up and they're like, this is an amazing thing. And you're like, tight. You do not know how many details I had to like go into that.
I haven't slept for months.
Yeah. And like, and it's everything. It's when you're talking about When you're talking about this like experiential marketing, it's not even just like at the moment in the things and like you get the details and you have the cups or, you know, the activities and all this stuff. It's also the pre and post.
100%.
And that's where the digital marketing piece comes into it too, right?
Yes.
Like you have to get like do the build up to get people hyped, and then to RSVP. Right?
Yeah.
Then you have your event, you're doing the things, you're jamming out, you're always on. And then you have to have the post too, where you follow up and then you're like, okay, find me for more stuff too, right? And I actually see people fail at that quite often.
100%. Yeah. People think like, even with a pop-up shop, you're going to build out this gorgeous store, and it's expensive,
it's
right?
So expensive. It's like a wedding.
And yeah. Even
I'm planning a wedding
right
now, so like I know that.
Yeah, it's like crazy. So, but a lot of people miss that, the pre and the post, which is equally as important, if not more, because you need to build up the hype. You need to get commitments, right? Yeah. And also, once you have the store open, like let's say, like we're talking about pop-up shops specifically, we had that shop for 3 months. We did a ton of events, tons of programming. We did yoga. We did influencer events. We had parties where it was like getting rowdy. Everyone was getting underwear. Like it was a good time. But like, I think that's where people need to understand as well. Like you're paying for this space, which is essentially a venue. Like use it. You know, you should have a ton of content. And also don't have it drag out too long. Sometimes pop-up shops stay around too long and then it becomes stale. It's like have it be quick.
Yeah.
In and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, homies, we're taking a minute away from the episode because I just want to have a second to talk about League of Originals LA Summit. League of Originals is bringing together the most influential brand leaders to help you supercharge your business. Here's what you can expect. All day, incredible panels with the most influential brand leaders, next level activations, tasty food, drinks and music, and connecting with great humans in a genuine way. The guest speakers include Skims, Bala, Beekeepers Naturals, Ketone IQ, Who Gives a Crap, Fabletics, Sundays, Beyond Yoga, Ridge, and tons more. So the homies at League of Originals have authorized me to give you 50% off of tickets. Use the code AboveTheFoldGA at checkout and you'll receive 50% off tickets, which is essentially the price of an Erewhon lunch. I'll also put that in the show notes. Okay, back to the show.
Well, I think what's really interesting, so two scenarios I actually want to bring up is, so Feastables, right? So I obviously used to work at Feastables before I got into this world of podcasting and everything else, right? And one of the things that Feastables as a brand did really well was actually the experiential marketing pieces too. So like we didn't necessarily have pop-up shops, but we would always incorporate that like spectacle marketing and that in-person feeling. So like, funny story, actually. When I worked at Feastables, I'll give you all the details for the audience here, but like when I worked at Feastables, as VP of Customer Experience, one of my jobs was actually delivering Teslas because nobody knew how to go and like buy the Tesla. Like you think it was like a wholesale account. No. I literally bought like 11 Teslas under my individual name.
Oh my God.
And then had to fly around the country delivering these Teslas, right? But okay, funny story that has to do with experiential marketing here. So I ordered this Tesla for a winner who lives in Sacramento, California. Okay. And we're going to deliver the Tesla at VidCon with Mr. Beast and the crew and like this whole YouTube thing. It was like all this stuff, right? And so there was a lot of work up and build up into that moment, right? And then, so Tesla somehow, so I wanted to pick it up in LA. Somehow the Tesla ended up in Sacramento. And I don't find out until the day before. Oh, no. So I don't find out until the day before. So I was like, I told my old boss, the CEO, Jim, I was like, I got to go to California a day early and I got to drive this Tesla down from Sacramento to LA.
You drove it?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Okay, wait. It gets worse. It gets better and worse. Okay. So I get to Sacramento. I have to book this last minute ticket. I get to Sacramento. It's late at night. I check into a hotel. Like, luckily, like, your girl here used to work in the travel industry, so she like knows a thing. Yeah. So I go, I check in, I go to pick up the car. I actually have a friend driving with me that lives in Sacramento.
Okay, that's
good. It all worked out. So we get in the car. And we get to like Stockton, which is probably like an hour and a half away from Sac. And there's something wrong with the battery.
Oh, no.
Because like Tesla's like you plug them in, but it still has like a car battery that keeps things charging while you're on the road, right? So something's wrong with it, that it's not charging the vehicle. But by this point in time in the day, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock. And like I can't
PM
solve
or AM?
PM.
Okay.
I can't solve the problems.
Yeah.
Okay. So every 45 minutes, we had to stop and charge this car. Okay. A like 6-hour drive took me like 9 hours. Right. So I finally get to, well, there's a lot of things that happen in the between. I had to charge this car like multiple different times, whatever. Get to Anaheim, probably like 1 a.m. or whatever. But I'm like, man, I got to get this car fixed. So I'm like calling the people while I'm on the road. Like, okay, got to get this fixed. Like somebody gets me into the Tesla dealership in like Orange County area to like get it fixed the next day. So the next morning I wake up, get it fixed, do all the things, all before having to go drive it into VidCon. Okay. Me. I'm like VP of customer experience. Like I know digital, I don't know live in person. Okay?
Well, clearly you do.
Well,
all you need to you just need to be resourceful. That's like the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'll land the plane here. So anyway, so like get the car fixed, do all the things, into VidCon. And like we have this beautiful car. It's all like this great moment. There's all this content being built around it, all this stuff. And the winner's really happy. But my point of like telling you all those things is like, so Feastables as a brand, right? Like I know I told you this horror story about a Tesla, but like Feastables as a brand did they did this in-person like experiential marketing, and like they took that digitally native moment and brought that into real life. Like that's like one story out of many. Like there's like a Shopify space thing that we've done. Like all of these were really amazing moments, but it's so important that having those like in real life moments are actually so important for building your brand experience. 100%. It's like a whole other avenue that we just don't talk about.
Well, it's powerful because people will remember an experience forever, whether it's good, whether it's bad. So there's so much power there. Like people still talk about that MeUndies pop-up shop. 10 years later.
That's crazy.
And it's like, it's so special. And to me, that was always what made it so meaningful, because I knew I was creating something that people would remember forever. Oh, forever and ever. A long time. And so that was really meaningful for me. And so I mean, I've been literally doing it ever since.
That's amazing. I have one more question, and then I actually want to go into like League of Originals specifically. But and this is to kind of close the gap on like event and experiential like marketing things. How do you like close the gap? Like, so I know we talked about you have to do the pre, you have to do the during, and then you have to do the post, right? But how do you successfully close the gap on that post? Like, is it email? Is it SMS? Is it newsletter, blogs? Like, what do you do to like make that loop so they continuously come back?
A combo of all of those things. I think like if you can have an event calendar built out, like instead of just always doing one-off things, like plan 6 months ahead, have multiple activations. If they came to one event, they'll probably come to another one. Like how can you like up the ante, make it even more special? I think like events are essentially hospitality. Right? Like how do you really make people feel taken care of? Make every detail really thoughtful. Things that maybe people don't even notice. But I think email, SMS for sure, getting people to follow you on Instagram, of course, like, or TikTok, getting them in the newsletter and all that. That's all really powerful and important stuff that you have to do and like keep it going. Don't just let it fall off after the event.
Yeah, like you can't just be like, okay, thanks for attending my event. Yeah, and I'm going to put you in my list, and like we're never going to talk about that one moment that we like shared together. Yeah, right? And I think you're absolutely right too. Like, it's not even just like whether you're in event marketing or if you work on the brand side, B2B, like whichever way it is, those tactics to keep that community growing are so very important. I mean, like, granted, we're like talking very high level about it, but it's really important to think like when you get people into the door to your event, to like what it is that you're doing, to continuously have them coming back. Like, it's not just a one and done.
For sure. And that's relationships, or events are relationship building. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you are literally building genuine relationships with people. They're meeting your team. They're meeting you. You're having that face-to-face interaction that they'll never be able to get digitally. And so, like, continuing that relationship also fosters a more genuine connection, because you don't, it feels like, it doesn't feel transactional. You're like, no, let's like keep this going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, switching gears, and then I have some like hot takes at the end of all of this.
Love it.
But I really want to talk about League of Originals and like and tell the audience like what it is that League of Originals is about, because I think you run a very important org, especially if you're a brand founder, that offers like a lot of resources. So before I'll stop hyping it up, why don't you tell me?
Oh my gosh, so good. All right. Woo. So I'll kind of go into like why I started it as well. Like, so having been in this space for so long, right? I was at MeUndies, and then I was at a marketing agency, and then I started my own agency. So I've worked with a ton of brands, tech companies. I've done pop-ups, conferences, launch events, dinners, everything you can imagine. And I really felt like, specifically in the e-commerce space, the events were so boring.
Yeah.
Why? Like, what? It's painful.
Well, I have one other comment. Do you think they're all like male driven?
Yes. I hate to say, but like, old dudes, whatever, like, that are just like stuck in their ways. People are wearing a badge, people are scanning badges. It's not built to actually foster relationships. Yes. It's built to sell you something. It's a salesy environment that brands don't want to go to. I never wanted to go. So I was like, if I feel this way and my friends feel this way, like, other people must feel the same.
Yeah.
And I really care about supporting emerging founders. Like, it's really, really hard to start a brand. It's a lonely journey to be a founder. And I want to support like the next generation of disruptive brands and entrepreneurs. Yeah. And so when I dreamt this up for like years, because I was always behind the scenes. And this was now kind of me putting my idea in front of the world to see, and that was terrifying for me, but I decided to just go for it and do it. And so the concept of it was really like, how can I create an environment that is going to support brands and give them the tools and the resources that they need to grow? Part of that is events, for sure. And events have always been my lens, and so I started it as an event series. Since then, it's now been a couple years, we have developed a membership platform. Mm-hmm. So now early stage brands are able to join as members. They get a group monthly mentor call, and they're also able to book one-on-one time with mentors. They get free tickets to our events. They get, content. There's a Slack channel with resources and all of that. So we're creating this like infrastructure to help brands grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really amazing. That this like experiential marketing turned into community.
Yeah.
And I think it's like really full encompassing of like marketing as a whole, right? Yeah. It's like you do these things to get people in the door, but then you keep like building for like the loyalty and the community pieces of it.
Yeah. Like when we were doing events, it really started on a quarterly basis, basically. And after about 4 events, I was like, okay, how can we take this a step further? Mm-hmm. Like, what do these brands need? Like, yes, they can have a pop-up, they could sell their products, they could like listen to these panel discussions, but in between that, I wanted to create like a deeper level of community and support. And so that's when the membership side opened up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it just founders and operators, or just founders?
So we have 2 tiers. Okay. One is if you're an early stage brand, it's called the original. So if you're doing like under 10 million in revenue, that could be anybody from the team. We do tend to get a lot of founders. Yeah. I would say like 80% of people are founders. And then we have a higher tier. That's our founders club. So brands that are doing between 10 and 200 million. And so the ecosystem that we've created is that these larger brands in the Founders Club are able to mentor the emerging brands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Can you name some of the brands that are involved? Or?
Yeah. We have Bala, Our Place, Doe, Parker Clay, Triarchy, Soleil Bicycles, Jinx, Beyond Yoga, like amazing brands.
I love it.
Yeah.
And is everybody like in LA or are they spread out?
It's actually kind of spread out now. I would say, I don't know, maybe like 70% of people are in LA, but we've got people from all over, which is really exciting. We have a member that's like in Australia, like Australia.
I love Australia.
Yeah. So it's fun. And I'm just super excited and thankful that I get to do this.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. I think it's really inspiring. I think you and I are friends because I think we share this value of wanting to create community for people that we've encountered and going to a lot of these male-driven events.
Yeah.
So.
And doing it our own way. I think that's really important. Like for me, I was like, I do not want to be another conference. Yeah. It's not interesting to me at all. And there's already enough of them. We don't I know, and you just came off of it.
We're not gonna name what I came off of, but like
yeah.
Let me just put it this way. Hot take central.
Hot take.
I went to this event. I'm not gonna name the event. But I was
it rhymes with no.
I know. It would be given away.
Yeah.
I went to this event and I spoke at it, and that was really dope. Like being able to like honestly have opportunities to speak. So I'm really grateful of that, and also seeing all my friends. But it was like, why did I go to this place for so many days and so exhausted?
Yeah.
But I got no value out of it.
Yeah. I feel like those events, these big ones, those that shall not be named, are an institution, and people go because they feel like they have to. Yeah. It's tried and true, and it's more of a partnership thing. Yeah. You're not going to sign new clients.
No.
Like if you're any sort of tech company, you're not getting a brand to, you know, sign up for your services in any way, shape, or form from attending those events. Like it's not going to happen.
Right.
Because they don't go. No one wants to go.
They don't go.
They don't go.
They don't go. And like they go to things like, I hate to say this, but they go to things, I don't hate to say this, but this truly is not just like gassing up League of Originals, and specifically there's a lot of like other summits. Like I hold summits in Chicago just to like build and cultivate that like community, right? Like under just like my personal stuff. And those like are just more valuable than going to these like bigger things, these like 1 day, half day event stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is actually a really good segue, because I really want you to talk to me about your executive retreats that you host. Tell me more about like that type of offering that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like my goal is really to like push the boundaries of how people in this space can gather. It does not need to be what it's been. And these executive retreats, to me, I find a lot of inspiration from other industries. Like I don't just want to be in our e-commerce bubble. Like I really, so in my mind, I was like, why don't we kind of like Revolve will take like a bunch of influencers on a trip. Like, why don't we treat these brands and these operators and founders from these brands like influencers and create this really premium experience that is absolutely gorgeous. So these retreats are like an overnight experience. There's 20 brands.
I'm coming
You're
to one.
I'm so excited.
Tell me why I'm going, because she literally texted me and was like, will you come to this? And I was like, my girl's calling me, I gotta go.
Yeah. Okay. So literally stunning. We're buying out. All of it is premium but not douchey. Yeah. You know, so and that's kind of like our brand vibe, is like, this is really curated, but it's not like, we're not going to be at like the Fairmont or whatever the hell. Yeah. Like we're at like Hotel Joaquin, which is a petite resort with 21 rooms in Laguna Beach, overlooking the ocean, beautifully designed. So we have like a mix of things for people to connect and do. We have like thoughtful conversations with some panel discussions. We have dinner. We have a little workout the next day that's optional. And then a brunch and you check out. You know, it's just like, I'm excited for this because no one in our space is doing it. There are some retreats that are happening, but I don't know how well they're doing it, because I feel like everyone is just taking the same model and plastering a different name on it.
I mean, yeah, and it's all male driven.
They don't think about the details. I'm sorry, guys. No. And that's
like,
I'm a psycho about exactly. Like there's just no vibe for me when we did, because in the beginning of League of Originals, we didn't really have a brand identity. I kind of had a vibe. I was doing everything myself. eventually, once we had a bit of budget to work with, I did a full rebrand. And since then, I am like maniacal about staying true to our brand. I will not put our logo on anything that does not align with our brand.
Yes.
I knew that if we wanted to work with some of these amazing brands, right, we had to look like them. Like we had to have a vibe. We had to have our own identity. And that was really important. So now that's like how I make all of our decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, this is going to switch gears a little bit, but I think this is like really like tactical advice for like founders, operators, or anybody like developing a brand, or even like the brand of your SaaS company. Yeah. Okay. I think it's really important as we talk about like experiential marketing, in particular, this subject. Like, you're not just like signing up for all of the events and doing all of the things, right, and putting your name on it just to get out there for brand awareness. Yeah. You have to actually like, is it something that speaks to my ethos, my values of my company? Is this something that I would represent? Like, for instance, like if I'm like a nut company, I don't know. I don't know. This is actually a really terrible example.
I'm like, nuts.
I'm just thinking like, I'm thinking of something that's like, I don't know, something that's like a CPG or CPG, and like putting it on like a SaaS company is like event. I don't know. That still example doesn't make sense. But my point that I'm trying to make is that like, it's really important to be very methodical about the things that you're putting you're attaching your brand to, because
brand alignment's so key.
It absolutely. Yeah. And lastly is your brand is so important. Your brand is so important. You do not want to align with your brand, your company, whatever, with something that doesn't speak to it, right?
For sure.
And I just think that that's really important for when we talk about brand awareness and doing this like type of like experiential like marketing pieces. Yeah. Is that, you know, look at Liquid Death. Liquid Death is a really good example, right? Like Liquid Death is literally canned water, okay? But like, they are so about being creative and driven that like everything that they're touching and everything that they do in the event and their experiential marketing is all in alignment with their brand.
Yeah.
That's a really better example.
For sure. And I think like brands do a good job of that. Tech companies don't.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they need to get on that train because their brand is watered down. I feel like a lot of companies are afraid to take a stance and are afraid to like have a point of view.
Yeah.
And you need to, and you're going to turn some people off. Like League of Originals is not for everyone. And I designed it that way. I don't want it to be for everyone. I want you to get it. If you get it, you get it. For the people that don't, and there are some, you know.
Wait, what's that saying that goes, the ones that get it, they get it.
Yeah, exactly. The ones that get it, they get it. And it's like, that's what I wanted going into it. I knew it was not for everyone. When I started it, I had no budget. We were in a dingy ass warehouse in Venice. Okay, there was sawdust literally everywhere. I looked around and I was like, oh my God, I don't know if people are going to get this. But they loved it because it was so genuine. It was real. It was not salesy. And to this day, even as we grow, now we have much larger sponsors and it's legit. It's a legitimate business. But even still, I am like super, super bullish on sticking to those principles. Yeah. Because that's what drew people to us in the first place. Yeah.
SaaS companies like have a really hard time with it. And it's like, SaaS can just be so stringent.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, here's my tool.
Yeah.
And for those viewing it, I'm literally making robot moves right here. But I think like this day and age, it's so hard to stand out in front of your customer that you have to be fucking different.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
Yeah, you do. And I'm so excited for this. One thing we had a similarity of in our events is a tattoo parlor.
Oh, I know.
We both did.
You actually inspired that. So real quick, just for like the audience, Karolina had a tattoo artist at one of her summits in December. Really badass. Never got my tattoo there. You know, I still didn't get a tattoo even at my own event. And
I know it gets
tattooed.
too busy. That's so funny. I did get one at mine. Yeah.
Did. At the end.
Yeah. I know at the very the wee end.
The
Yeah.
The last person. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly it though. Is like bring the tattoo artist, bring the different, right?
Yeah.
Still do the things that are really fun, but
Yeah.
bring those details.
For sure.
Another org that does events really well is #paid. Have you ever been to one of theirs?
I have not, but I've heard amazing things.
So
they're like
good.
thoughtful. Yeah, I've spoken to their team before. Yeah.
Two of my girls work with them.
Cool.
So shout out to Sophia and shout out to Carrie. They put on badass events, and like granted, like so #paid is for creators and influencers, whether you're micro, macro, whatnot. They bring in like CPG brands, they bring in like all this kind of like media and content and like fun activities to kind of like mingle and get together. And every brand that I've recommended to like work with them has not only like gotten like their sponsorship money's worth from it, but also have had a badass time and gotten some dope content from it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, here's 3 different examples of experiential marketing, right? Coming from like tech companies. And it
can be done right.
It can be done right. And I think, and going back to just like the tactical advice for a brand though, the pop-ups are so important. Like the Liquid Death examples, go to the festivals, do the things, but then don't just like pop up a fucking tent. Yeah. Make sure your details are on point.
There's a time and place. I think if you're super early stage, experiential is expensive.
Yes.
One concept that I developed that I was really excited about was when I was at the marketing agency, we were working with a lot of startups and all of them wanted a pop-up shop on Abbot Kinney. And I'm like, for sure, this is how much it costs. You know,
like die.
It's
in 5 minutes.
Well, the only thing you could do on Abbot Kinney at this point is a pop-up because it's so expensive to stay there full time. But like, so, you know, as I'm having these conversations, I'm like, oh my God, okay, so no budget. And I thought to myself, why not combine like 10 brands together that are all complementary? Everybody splits the cost. Yeah. And now it's a 10th of what it would have costed, and we'll do activations, we'll do a ton of programming, they have like a footprint, it's fully produced, and we had that for 3 months, and that was like an interesting way, a combination of like a pop-up shop, a ton of programming in the space, pre and post marketing, because I was at a digital marketing agency, being the only one doing experiential, and also brand alignment, right? Like, who are you sitting next to? It's really, really important.
Yeah. I think even one step further too, like even if you can't like afford to do a pop-up necessarily, getting involved in like, so if you're a CPG brand, right? And you're looking to get into retail, getting involved in retail and doing those like Costco version sampling moments.
For sure, little shop and shop, like
Fishwife does this, the canned fish. They have like really dope branding, really fun, and then they've hired like brand ambassadors to like go to like retail shops and like kind of like do these taste testings. But I think it's a very scrappy way of kind of doing that experiential marketing pieces and like just kind of like closing the loop on like omni-channel, right? Like getting you out there.
It doesn't have to be a 3-month shop. It could literally be like a 2-day weekend long thing where you find a retailer, you know. People want activations in their space. They want other reasons to drive traffic to the store. So let's say you have a brand, you find a retailer that is like perfectly complementary to your brand, to your product, knock on their door, see if they'd be willing to like let you have a small space over a weekend, do a co-branded event. Yeah. It's easy, you know.
The example that keeps popping in my head is like Girl Scout cookies. You come out with a table.
Be the Girl Scout cookie of today.
Be the Girl Scout cookie. Sell your Thin Mints. But I think there's just different levels of it, right?
Yes.
There's like the scrappy level. There's like, okay, I've gotten a little bit more funds, and then there's like the Feastables version, right?
Right. Then you're buying like 11 Teslas. But you know, there I think early stage brands don't need to be afraid of experiential. Absolutely. I think they can be scrappy and be resourceful. You'd be surprised how many people want to collaborate with you on stuff. For sure.
Absolutely. And you just got to ask.
Yeah. You don't ask, you don't get.
You know, and you know, one piece of advice just in life, right? For every no, you're going to get a yes.
Yeah.
At some point, right? So
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, I want to ask you some hot takes.
Let's do it.
All right. So, what is the worst event you've ever been to?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you thought it was going to be on this question. Nope. We don't name names, but what is like the worst like experiential thing that you've done?
God. Wait, not that I've done. That's someone else. That's someone else.
Not that I've done.
I've done only good ones. No, listen, we've all messed up. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh God. I don't know. Hang on. Like a lot of these,
like think Fire Festival.
Yeah. I was stranded on an island. I mean, there's been a lot of really bad networking events that I've gone to that have no vibe, no decor, no good signage. The people are just all over the place. There's no thought. Food's sitting out, drinks are crap. Like you know what I mean? Like you go there and you're just like, I just like drove 45 minutes because I'm in LA, like to this crap ass networking event where I'm not meeting anyone that is aligned with what I'm doing. Like there's a lot of those. And to be honest, I don't go to a lot of events for that reason because I produce them.
And it takes a lot.
It takes a lot out of you, but there's just a lot of crappy ones out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I do go to a lot and I do put on a lot too.
Yeah.
But I never sleep, so.
See, I'm a sleepy girl. I'm like a bear, so.
I want to be a sleepy girl.
Oh, I don't know.
I know.
I wish I had less sleepiness.
Well, fun random fact.
Yeah.
Most people think I'm an extrovert, but I'm actually an introvert. So I go to all these events and then I get absolutely fucking drained.
Your social battery is same.
Yeah.
Your social battery gets drained.
But
Absolutely.
I love doing it.
Yeah.
Over
I know.
and over.
Well, it's like addictive and like there's a high, there's an adrenaline.
Yeah.
Is that my phone? There's a high, there's an adrenaline with it. I think like I chose a career path that is absolutely psychotic, you know?
Yeah.
It's
I know.
crazy.
Yeah. A lot of people are always like, how do you do it to me? And I'm like,
I don't know.
I got a whole team.
Yeah, you need a team. Like once you're able to get to that point, it's really important.
Yeah.
Like having a team behind you. When I was doing everything myself, like honestly, the day before our summit, I had like a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
I cried. I was up till like 1 a.m. I just was doing everything myself, managing like hundreds and hundreds of registrations. And I just knew like, okay, this is going to be the last time I do it this way.
Yeah.
I knew I had to prove the concept.
Yeah.
I knew I had to execute to the highest of my ability. But once we get this done, I'm going to start hiring people.
Yeah.
And I did.
For sure.
Yeah.
And just like blocking out your time.
Yeah. Better time management, being less reactive.
Yes. I know. Breath work too.
Yes.
Anyway, we're like on a trail right now. Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
Which brand product launch would you love to attend one day?
I would probably say Deadcool.
Ooh.
Do you know Deadcool?
Aren't they the laundry detergent? No.
They do laundry detergent. They do scents.
Okay,
and
scents,
so there's like a pet shampoo. Like their product line is so unique and
it comes
interesting.
in the cans?
Yeah, that the laundry detergent comes in the cans. They have like dryer sheets. They have perfumes that I use like religiously. I love the founder Karolina. They're a super creative team. And their branding is so on point. They have such a fun, quirky point of view. And I feel like them showing up in any IRL way would be so fun and awesome.
Yeah.
So waiting for my invite.
Deadcool. But I really want to go to the Goodles Expo West event.
Yes.
This is going to literally air like much after Expo West. But Goodles, just know, big fan of your branding.
Amazing. I love it. Yeah, it's fun. I just feel like it's such a great opportunity for brands to like have fun with it.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's so many things that we can talk about like experiential marketing and like just that experience driven, like at the basis of all of this, it's like it's brand experience. It's in real life brand experience. And I think it's like really important to be a part of your like marketing strategy.
100%.
All right, my girl, the end of the road.
What a pleasure.
Where can the folks find you?
So you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at League of Originals, on our website, leagueoforiginals.com. And my phone number, no, I'm kidding.
Don't call her.
dang, we've made it to the end of the podcast and you're still here. So thank you so much for listening to Above the Fold podcast. For the best of this episode and every episode, be sure to follow us on Instagram and my YouTube channel. And for deeper dives on the secrets to brand success, don't forget to subscribe to my weekly newsletter, Sunday Postcards. All right, my dudes and gals, see you next week.